Good morning, friends. This is Miss Bilta here with your daily math lesson. Today we're going to be working on 9.5, still working with fractions. We're just now going to be comparing fractions while finding the same denominator and what's the same about them. So we're going to be thinking about factors that each of the denominators can go into. So let's go ahead and get started. I just need you to follow along with me for a moment, and then once we get to the workbook page, I'll need you to grab a piece of paper and follow along with me. So here we have 2/5, we have 6/10. What we're trying to do is compare them, and as you notice, the denominators are not the same, so we are going to have to change one of them so that they are equal. So here you will see what they have done. They have set up some diagrams for you to use. So right now, if you look over here, you have 2/5 and you have an arrow going up and an arrow going down. The rule of thumb for this particular situation, the skill, you have to think of what times 5 equals 10. So ask yourselves, 5 times what equals 10? We know that it is 2. Okay, now, rule of thumb, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. Okay, so if we multiply by 2 down here, we have to multiply 2 up top. So we already know that 5 times 2 is 10. And we know that 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this side. We know that 5 times 2 is 10. And we know that if we're multiplying by 2 up on the bottom, we have to do the same up top. Now we're missing this numerator instead of this numerator. So because we're multiplying from left to right, the opposite of that would be to divide right to left. So if I divide 6 divided by 2, or ask yourself 2 times what equals 6, we know that that is 3. Okay, so now we have changed both of our fractions so that we have them in fifths and we have them in tenths. Okay, so that should give you an idea of how that works. All right, that's the rule. Moving on, this is where you're going to need a piece of paper. This is our beginning of our math book page. So I need you to go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pencil and follow along with me as we work on the step in problem. Okay, so the step in problem says that Henry and Anna each bought a blueberry pie on Saturday. On Sunday, they talked about how much their families ate of the pie. Henry said his family ate 3/5. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. 3/5 of his pie. Anna said that her family ate 8/10 of her pie. Whose family ate more pie? How can you figure it out? Well, the little guy down here, he says, I know that 10 is a multiple of 5, because when we count by 5s, we know it goes 5, 10, 15, and so on. So he's going to change 3/5 into tenths. Now, if you remember, we just did this on the last page. So you again, they already did it for you. They put times 2 times 2. You just now have to do the multiplying. So 3 times 2 is 6. That gives us a new numerator. And 5 times 2 is 10. Okay. Now, in order to compare these two fractions, you have to take the 6/10 of Henry's and compare it to Anna's 8/10. Now, as you can see, they have the same denominator. So just like before, if we're comparing 6/10, which was Henry, to Anna's 8/10, and if the denominators are the same, then you're just looking at the numerator. We know that 6 is smaller than 8, so 6 is less than 8/10, which means Anna's family ate more of the pie. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, another problem. Let me get it all set up here for us. Hernando is making muffins. The recipe uses 3/4 of a stick of butter. There is 4/8 of a stick of butter in the refrigerator. Will Hernando have enough butter for the recipe, and how could you figure it out? Okay, so we have our cat and our raccoon here who are here with some tips for us. Now remember, we have 3/4 of a stick of butter, and there's only 4/8 of a stick of butter in the refrigerator. So we have to figure out if he has enough. So we have to change one of our fractions so that the denominators are the same. So again, they set it up over here for you. We just have to now complete the problem. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the denominators? 4 and 8. Okay, think about it. 4 times what equals 8? 2. Very good. Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top, which means 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have 6/8. Okay, 6/8. So if you look at it, there's 4/8 of butter in the fridge. And Hernando needs 6/8. So does he have enough butter? I'm going to stop talking for a minute and give you a second to say yes or no. Does he have enough butter? Okay, hopefully you said no, he does not have enough butter because he only has 4/8 in the fridge and he needs 6/8. Okay, now come on over here with me as we solve this. Now we're going to work backwards. So 8 divided by what equals 4? 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Okay, so now we have 2/4 and we have 4/4. Okay, he still does not have enough butter. Okay, let's go ahead and jump on into the step up problems. All right, let me get this down to one page. We already did that page. We're going to move on to this page. So we now have a set of old fractions, and we're going to create new fractions. Okay, and then we have to pick one of them to fill in the blanks here. So, for example, if we had 1/4 to 3/8, we're going to put the old fraction here. Let me see if I can get my pen. We're going to put 1/4 here. Okay. And we're going to make a new fraction. Okay. So I'm going to actually put the new fraction right here. And I want you to figure out what should go right here. What are we multiplying by? It should be the same number because remember we're doing whatever we do to the bottom to the top. All right, you should have said 2. Please make sure you're writing these things down as we're going along. So that means the new fractions are 2/8. That's the new fraction. Because remember, it says change 1. So we only have to change one fraction. So the 3/8 is going to stay the same because we didn't change that. Okay, we didn't change that. Okay, going over here to letter B. I am going to change 5/3. So I'm going to change 5/3. So that means I'm going to put 5/3 here. And I'm going to think of a number that they both could go into that could give me a new fraction. I'm going to stick with the number 2. 2 seems to be our lucky number of today's lesson. And I'm going to say 5 times 2 is 10. And 3 times 2 is 6. So our new number is 10/6. And the 7/6 is going to stay the same. As you notice in both of our problems, we have the same denominator for both of our new fractions. All right, let's try letter C. I am going to change 6/2. I'm going to change 6/2. Now, the reason for me choosing the particular fractions that I'm choosing is because I know that these numbers are both able to go into 2 or 3. Okay, most of the time 2 or 3 is the numbers that you're going to be looking for. So if this, for example, I'm going to, instead of multiplying by 2, I'm going to try multiplying by 3 to get a new fraction. So 6 times 3 is 18, and 2 times 3 is 6. So our new fraction is 18 sixths and 15 sixths. Okay, we're going to try D together, and then I want you to try E, F, G, and H on your own. Okay, so letter D, I'm going to change, let's see, let's do 12 fifths. Let's change 12 fifths. Okay, 12 fifths. Now 12 and 5 both can be times by 2. Now, friends, really, if you think about it, there could be numerous new answers, because whatever you're doing to the bottom, you have to do to the top, but it doesn't always have to be 2. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4. Okay, right now we're just focusing on smaller multipliers. So I'm trying to stick with 2 and 3. So my new answer would be 24 tenths. And 16 tenths would stay the same. Remember, we only have to change 1. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. I want you to try E, F, G, and H on your own. When I come back, you will be able to see the answers to E, F, G, and H, and you'll be able to check those to make sure. Now remember, you might have different answers than Miss Bilta, and that's okay. But let's see if you can try and get the same answers as Miss Bilta. Go ahead and give it a try on your own. Okay, friends, hopefully that was enough time. If it wasn't, just go ahead and pause the video here, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and check your answers. I'm just gonna show this up on the screen for a few minutes, and then we're gonna finish up with the step ahead, and then that'll be today's lesson. So go ahead and give yourself a minute to check your answers. As you can see, E, they times by 4. Now, if you think about it, they times by 4 because they were trying to keep 12 the denominator. So if they're trying to keep 12 the denominator, they went ahead and said, oh, 3 times 4 equals 12. Remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. Same with letter F. They wanted to change 10 twelfths into sixths. And this is what they got. They times by 2. Letter G, they times by 2 to keep the denominator 10. And they changed letter H times 3 to get denominators of 12. Okay, so we have one more problem I want to look at with you, but I don't want to slide down too fast because then you'll see the answer. So I'm just going to read right here. It says, will a bolt that is 7/16 of an inch wide fit into a hole that is 3/8 of an inch wide? Why or why not? Okay, so we have 7/16 and we have 3/8. Now, I'm just going to talk you through this before I show you the answer. If we have 7/16 and we have 3/8, we need to change one of those denominators so that they match. Okay, I'm going to keep the 7/16 the same, and I'm going to change 3/8. So, in order to get 3/8 to have a 16 on the bottom, I need to ask myself 8 times what equals 16? 2. Okay, so now 16 becomes the new denominator, and I'm going to times by 2 from the bottom. I'm going to times by 2 to the top. So 3 times 2 is 6. So now I have 7/16 and I have 6/16. So if the bolt is 7/16 of an inch wide, fit into a hole that is 6/16 of an inch wide, it will not fit because 6/16 is smaller than 7/16. So here you go. That's kind of what I just talked to you about. So friends, this lesson is just to get you thinking about how to find equivalent fractions, just like we've been doing, just showing you a new strategy. So hopefully this lesson went well for you. That's all I have for today. Come back tomorrow for some more. Bye, friends.